Good morning. Thank you for coming, and I'd like to share with you a little bit today about the rewarding career of aviation. Over the last few years, it's seen some significant changes, but it's something that we all take use of. I'm sure you've all traveled somewhere in the past. Maybe it was for business, maybe vacation, or maybe even for a short-term missions trip. As I said, over the past few years, there's been some changes in the field of aviation. I'd like to share those with you today. I'd like to share with you how they're being addressed. And then we'll touch a little bit on how aviation can be used as a career to glorify God. The FAA has, over the past years, done some studies of trends and forecasts to show where the field and the usage of aviation is going. As you can see from this graph here, over the next 20 years, air travel is going to grow by 15 million passengers per year. 15 million per year. That's 250 million people over the next 20 years. And as we know, air travel is a significant means for us to get to various locations, destinations. Sometimes it saves us money, time. Another issue that goes along with the number of people that are using air travel is the number of pilots that are going to be retiring. Now, this is a little bit older data, but you can see from 2017 to 2022, in a 5-year period, there will be 2,500 pilots retiring each year, approximately, for a total of 17,000 coming off of the field by 2022. So that raises a question: if more people are using air travel, how are we getting to our destinations if we don't have pilots to get them there, or more importantly, competent pilots to get there? Now, Boeing, along with the FAA, has done a study that shows the need for new pilots over that 20-year period. They've taken the FAA data along with data related to new pilots coming into the career of aviation to forecast that over the 20-year period from 2018 to 2037, we will need an additional 790,000 pilots. Most of those are in the commercial field, but some are business and helicopter, and it shows even by region the demand. Air travel is growing its fastest in the Pacific Rim, and so therefore we see Asia with the highest demand. So they've identified this need to be addressed. How are they doing that? Well, the FAA, and this chart is hard to see because there's a lot of data on it, has made some changes in how pilots can get to the field faster. The phase one at the top is still pretty much the same. You still do your private, commercial, instrument, and multi-engine rating. Then you build hours, phase two, and that's where the change really comes into play. For years, the FAA has required that you need 1,500 hours of flight time in order to sit for the airline transport pilot test. And what they've done is they've addressed that by going to various universities and colleges and saying that if they have an approved program that with a 2-year degree in aviation, we can reduce that 1,500 to 12,500 or 1,250 hours. And then if you go a step further and do a 4-year degree at an approved college or university, they'll reduce it to 1,000 hours. So this is helping pilots to be able to get their hours built faster in a shorter period of time and get them to the field a little bit quicker. The other thing that they're doing, and it's not on here because they're still in the process of addressing it, is raising the retirement age again. In the past years, they raised it from 60 to 65, and now they're looking to raise it to 67 or 68, which is a mandatory cutoff for airline pilots. Liberty University just so happens to be one of those schools. They offer a great program for aeronautics. You can do the 1,000-hour reduced ATP through them. And the benefit of Liberty is it is a Christian university. And so you get the biblical background with that, and they cover more areas of flight. So how can we use aviation to glorify God? Etho 360 Aviation is just one of many organizations that does exactly that. Their slogan, "Millions unreached but none unreachable," says that air travel can be used to take people to just about anywhere. As long as there's a flat area to land a plane, we can get people there. So they're taking the gospel to far off places. They're taking missionaries to places that they've never been before. And they're doing so at a reduced cost. They also use air travel to get needed supplies to people in times of crisis and need. Another way that we can use aviation to glorify God is through short-term missions. And maybe you've been on one of these trips. But in the past 20 years, we've seen a significant increase. In 2006, it was about 1.5 million Christians that went on short-term missions each year. Now, it's rated at approximately 2 to 2.1 million. The Southern Baptists account for a large part of that, with over 20,000 missions trips per year. So this is just one way that we as believers can use air travel to glorify God. And we can use it to not only share the gospel, but bring people and cultures together.